Welcome, everyone, and thank you for taking some time out to join us today. It's going to be an hour well spent, so we've got a fantastic session lined up for you, so hopefully you enjoy it. My name is Luke Forte, and I'm part of the external engagement team here at Barclays Eagle Labs. But far more importantly than me, today I'm joined by Louise Stevenson, who's the founder of the brilliant agency called Tiger Marketing. Hi, Louise.
Hi.
Louise has kindly given up some time to join us today to share her expertise and to help us understand what we can do to really make an impactful start to marketing in 2024. At Eagle Labs, we also have lots of support around this topic and many others around helping you to grow your business. So that's from content to programs to mentoring. So you can find out more about that at labs.uk.barclays. Before I hand over to Louise, though, I do have a couple of bits of housekeeping to take us through. So we've asked Louise to join us today to provide some tips and tricks on marketing success in 2024. The topics discussed are an overview of options you think about and help you with your independent research and business decisions, so aren't intended as recommendations or advice. Remember as well that your business has its own individual circumstances, as statements of views expressed may not be applicable to or suitable for your business. Right, we have an hour of Louise's time today, so let's make the most of that. There's a chat function that we have available to the left that you should be able to see. This is super important because it helps you to be able to ask your own questions and post your own comments to Louise throughout the session. And we'll have a little bit of mop-up time at the end to ask those to Louise as well. So we'll have a bit of Q&A time. If you found yourself with us in YouTube also, welcome. And you'll be able to find a link to VVox in the description below. So do join us in the chat as well. However, that is enough from me now. So Louise, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Luca.
Good. We've got over a few technical glitches today from our side, so thank you for bearing with us. I'm going to hand over to you now to start your presentation, if all okay.
Lovely, thank you. Right,
Thank
hi,
you.
everyone. So today I'm going to talk about marketing success for 2024 to get you planning for next year. So effective marketing and what it can do for you. Marketing is everywhere. We're influenced by marketing every day. Clever marketing will reach you on a subconscious level and it will stay with you. It will influence your behavior to the point that you don't even realize. So an example, which I'm probably sure you've all heard of, is with a conditioner. Wash, rinse and repeat. It's one of the most successful ploys of marketing ever. And all a clever marketer did was add one word, and that was repeat. It tells you what you must do. You wash your hair, you rinse it. Sorry, you put conditioner on your hair, you wash it, and then you rinse it, and then you repeat. And that one word actually doubles the amount of product, and it doubles the amount of sales. It's genius. Very simple, very strong. Now, another campaign, which I'm sure you've all heard about, is the tagline, "Carrots help you see in the dark." I'm sure you've all said it to your children as well. I know that I do. And it's actually from World War II. It was a government-led campaign. Now, technically, it is actually true. Carrots are rich in the compound meta-carotene, which your body uses to form a vitamin A that does help your eyes see in the dark, or slightly adjust to the dark, shall we say. But actually, what the government did, they said that carrots, they realised that carrots were one of the only vegetables that could grow in the soil amongst all the rubble. And it was linked to the blackout that they helped you see in the dark. Ultimately, the government wanted houses to supplement their rations with homegrown food, and the carrots were easy to grow. It worked really well and is still a well-used phrase to today. And that's the power of effective marketing. Effective marketing will help you roar louder. So how do you achieve this? Well, first of all, we need to look at what you want to achieve. And ultimately, it comes down to three main things. Most businesses want to raise brand awareness. They want to be known. They want to be seen. They want more customers, because more customers equals the holy grail, which is more sales. So to do this, you have to start with three main things. It's what do you do? And you have to share that. How do you do it? And the most important thing is, why do you do it? Now, why is not about making money. It's what sets you apart from your competitors. It's what is your purpose? What's your motivation? What's your beliefs? What drives you to do what you do? And if you can wrap this up, if you can package it into a story, it shows your authenticity and it becomes one of your unique selling points for your business. Now, there's a great book called Start With Why. It's by Simon Sinek, and I'd highly recommend that everybody reads it. And it tells you the importance of why. Now, why is within you. You don't invent it. You don't invest in it. It is your core belief. And once you know your why, actually the hardest part is not to discover it. The hardest part is to remain true to it. Once you know your why, your how, and your what, then you can look at further questions like the who, the what, the where. So where are you now? Where do you want to be? When do you do events, offers, promotions? When do they start? When are your busy or slow periods? And who is your target audience? What's your demographics? And what do they want? And what do they not want? Now, if you don't know these answers, speak to your customers, analyze your stats and look at your demographics. It's so important. All you need to do is just write out a list out the answers to these questions, and it's a really great start. And if you know this, you're going to get great results. It helps build trust. It helps build affiliation to your brand, rapport with your customers, and creates respect. Now, interestingly, every year the Edelman Trust Survey looks at trust on a worldwide scale, and 63% of people buy or advocate brands based on their beliefs and their values, essentially their why. It also helps create and inspire. It encompasses, you can enable a customer to fully take on your brand. They can encompass your whole brand. Like Harley Davidson, they embody the values and the lifestyle of the people wearing it. So the symbol is no longer about Harley Davidson. It's about the people who love Harley Davidsons for what they are. Doing this will help you gain market share, knock the socks off your competition, and maintain authority leadership. So the two campaigns that we first looked at, a big thing that they shared was that the public trusted them. And that's at the heart of any true brand awareness campaign. And what happens is the cycle, word of mouth leads to more awareness, which equals more trust, which equals more sales, a higher revenue. And you build that trust through sharing valuable, relevant, and accurate information. Without trust, credibility is lost and reputation can be threatened. So now we look at how to plan for 2024. So by now, you know your goals, and most importantly, you know your why. You want to list your objectives. I'm sure you've all heard of SMART objectives, being specific, being measurable, making sure they're achievable and realistic, relevant, and time sensitive. And writing down your goals is so important. You're actually 42% more likely to achieve them if they're written down, because it helps with clarity, it helps with commitment, focus, and it holds you accountable. So when we look at working with clients, we look at the science behind the marketing. So it's not just our expertise or our experience, we look at the data. And with this, it helps debunk a lot of myths. So if anybody ever comes to us and says, we really want something to happen and it has to happen next week, we say it's just not going to work. We understand that some companies think they've employed an agency, they're really busy, and now all their problems are going to be solved and the agency can just get on with it and make the magic happen, right? It's wrong. Marketing is an investment and it takes time to understand you and your business. So what we do, we work through 4 methods. So we do housekeeping, planning, execution, and analysis. This means that we're really methodical in what we do. And the first 2 phases, 1 and 2, the housekeeping and planning, they're underground work. So it's work that we do behind the scenes that the public doesn't see. So housekeeping is keyword research, it's doing audits, it's it's doing assessments to see where your business is and what it looks like. Essentially looking for the gaps and the opportunities. Once we're aware of that, we then look at planning. So it could be writing content for you, it could be producing strategies. Once that is signed off and agreed, because it is a partnership and you have to be 100% happy with everything, then we get to the execution, and the work is then, it goes out to the public. And then probably the most important phase is the analysis, to make sure that what we're doing works. And if it doesn't, make the necessary amendments so it does work. And in doing this, we have success. So 4 areas that we often look at, they're popular areas, but by no means exhaustive to what we do. It's keyword research, looking at customer behavior analysis, citations, and database. So keyword research is the fundamental basics for everything. Looking at keyword research, it feeds into PPC campaigns, so pay-per-click campaigns when you advertise on Google, on messaging, on the language used on the website. Customer behavior tells us what the customer is doing. It allows us to look at the customer journey, how customers are using your website, where they are, what they're interested in. Super important. Citations, I'll go into this in a bit more detail, but it's known as NAPs, which stands for NAP, is names, address, phone numbers. It's looking at your digital imprint across the internet, and databases and emails. A huge thing in marketing, which is often overlooked, is communication. So we ask lots of questions, lots and lots of questions, and we really listen to the answers. That helps us understand what you want to do. And then we repeat that. So we're asked more questions, and we listen further, and we understand more. And that can sound quite simple, but it's actually not, because people don't always say what they mean, which means it's hard to know what they want. And being British, we're very good at this confusing dance. So typically we're very polite, but often it's only on the surface. So an example. So what the people might say is, with the greatest respect, and what they actually mean is, you are an idiot. And then what people can understand that to mean is, they're listening to me. So another example, what people say is, that is a very brave proposal. What the people actually mean is, you are insane. And what people can understand that to mean is, they think I have courage. Another example, you may have heard this, I've only got a few minor comments, a few little tweaks. What they actually mean, please rewrite it completely. And what people can understand it to be is, they have a few typos. So again, it's really important to ask questions, to listen, to understand, but ask more questions, because you never want to assume, because people don't always say what they mean. It's easy to fall into the trap of assuming that you know best, or that you've heard something. You know better than your employees, you know better than your customers, but never ever assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me. Now, going back to keyword research, it's a huge thing. It's fundamental to the very core of marketing, and it's always where we start. So as an example, we worked with a customer and they built new homes, and they would say on everything they sent out, buy your new home, come to us for your new home. And when we did the keyword research, we actually saw new build homes come up. It was a much more specific term to them. It sat further down the sales funnel, but it led to more engaged traffic. People clicked at a higher rate because they knew what they wanted. A new home to you could be a new second-hand home, but a new build home is a brand newly built home. So the conversion was a lot higher. It allowed the client to focus more on their budget. It meant that they weren't competing for such a big term. Although the search results were higher on average per month for searches for new homes, it was actually, it allowed their budget to be spent more effectively for new build homes. And it helped push their USP and corner the market. So another myth, SEO is all about keywords. So we've talked about how important keywords are, and it's definitely where we always start. But SEO, search engine optimization, which is how you rank, how you get your website to rank, is not the be all and end all when it comes to keywords. There's actually over 200 factors that Google takes into account, and keyword optimization is just one of them. Keyword research is your foundation, as I've said, but modern SEO is now hugely part of the UX, the user experience, the customer journey. So it's really important to focus on all aspects of that. Google's measurement of how to rank a site is very, very complex. It now measures page experience, which has actually been a ranking factor since 2021. And considering Google has a 94% share of the searches in the UK, nobody can afford to ignore SEO and UX, user experience, for going into 2024. So let's take a look at a typical user experience. So somebody will search for something online. They may come through to your homepage, which will lead them to a category of service, further then down the sales funnel into looking for a specific product. They may buy that, go straight to the basket, or they may click a contact button and then ultimately purchase. So we want to take a holistic view of this process. So looking at the overall picture of a customer journey, it's much better to always look from start to finish rather than just focusing on one area, because if you look at the whole journey, it will dramatically lift the overall conversion rate and multiply your revenue. So as an example, if we were to convert at 10% at each stage, it is only 0.001% conversion rate overall. So for improvements, don't just focus on making one thing perfect. Look at improvements throughout. As many small improvements can make a positive impact. So other areas that you can do, like very simple, quick things that you could look at to optimize your funnel, to improve your customer journey. Perhaps if you're a new business, you're not yet ranking for your business name. You've got there's similar competitors with similar names or what you do. You could run a PPC ad, a pay-per-click ad, a Google ad for your brand name. There may be a high customer drop-off rate from Google ads to the website. So you're advertising online, you're getting the adverts are working, they're converting well, they're sending people to your website, but there's no conversions. Perhaps you've got too many steps in your customer journey. Perhaps you need to take out your homepage and send them direct to a product page, giving the customer what they want much quicker. Because everybody's busy, people are time poor, and they like to see results. On websites, we have software that records how customers use websites. And it often shows rage clicks, where somebody believes there should be a button or an area to click through and it's not working, and they just click furiously on it several times. It's known as a rage click. And that could be happening on your website. Perhaps customers aren't behaving in the IKEA way. You know, when you go into IKEA and you're directed through the shop in a certain way, you want your customers to take a certain route on your website. You want them to go find a product that they want, read about it, purchase it. They might not be doing that. And it could be something very simple, that it's not signposted properly. Maybe your call to action buttons, learn more, read here, buy now, maybe they're not the right color button. Maybe it's too complicated. But having consistency throughout, so having the same button, same color throughout the website, something as simple as that can really help them navigate the site. Another issue may be that customers are reaching the end of the sales funnel but not converting. You've actually worked on your website for a long time. You've worked on your sales funnel. You know that every element works well. Maybe it's not actually on your website. Maybe it's not to do with your product or your service offering, but perhaps it's to do with a payment gateway. You might not have the major payment methods on your website. I mean, Klarna is hugely popular now. And even just having an option like that can dramatically change and help with conversions. So we talked earlier about citations, where I said NAPS, name, address, and phone number. Essentially, it's a trustworthy business link. So it could be on Google My Business, Yale, Checkatrade. It leaves your digital online imprint. Even Facebook counts. And if you change your logo, your name, if you merge with another business, or you just move to a new office, it's really important to update them, because Google collates all the places that you're listed. And if there's discrepancies, it can rank you down for them. Databases. So in a post-GDPR world, it's now easier to lose a subscriber than it is to gain one. But it's probably one of the most important things. If you take nothing else away from this presentation today, please take away to start collecting email addresses. It is free for you to do, and it is hugely important, and it can have such a great conversion level. People now receive fewer emails because of post-GDPR, but they do expect a higher quality of emails. So you have to really invest in the design and the content. You have to plan out what you want to send out and when. It's important to prune your list with opt-out campaigns and not be hung up on the number of email addresses you have. You know, if you've got a very old database and you could have 120,000 or 60,000 on your database, but actually only 30,000 or maybe even only 10,000 are active, it's better to get rid of the people that are inactive. Maybe segment them, do a new campaign, do a personalized campaign saying, we've missed you, we haven't heard from you a while. Try and get them active, but focus on personalized, segmented emails to key audience types, because you will get a much better response. Building really great onboarding emails is essential to your business. And you want to nurture your subscribers. So send out interesting content. If you're bored writing it, people are going to be bored reading it. And lastly, I think you have to earn the right to sell. Like, nobody just wants to receive emails all the time of buy this, buy this, buy this. Your data is precious and you need to look after it. So another myth, email marketing is dead. It definitely isn't. As I just said, it's so important to cultivate your audience. They are a captive audience. They are warm. They know about your business. You can actually reach 81%. Sorry, you can reach a huge amount of people with emails. 81% of the public open emails on their phone. It's extremely cost effective with an average return on investment of 42. 59% of the public say email influences their purchases. And personalized emails converts at 6 times higher than the generic email. So make sure when you get their email addresses, you are getting at least their first name as well. It can really make all the difference. So a good part to look at is budgets. We're always asked, what is the rule of thumb to attribute my marketing budget on what my business makes? Now, Deloitte's annual CMO survey says that it's actually at the highest it's been in over a decade, and the average is 13.6% of revenue. New businesses tend to spend about 20% of revenue to break into their industry. They're brand new, they've got a lot more work to do in getting their name out there. Established businesses tend to spend between 5 to 12% of revenues, and charities can be a bit higher with 5 to 15%. But the simplest way is to start with a budget based on your past year's revenue. And as you grow, it's wise to actively invest more. So why set a budget of 10% of revenue first 5%? So if we look at, you have 100K revenue and you decide to put 5% towards that for your marketing, that gives you a £5,000 budget, which it will take 20 times ROI to break even. If you have a 100K budget and you put 10% of your marketing, giving you a 10K budget, it will only take you 10 times return on investment to break even. So a 10 times return is likely more achievable. Sorry, put my teeth back in. A 10 times return is likely more achievable than a 20 times return. It makes it a lot easier. It makes your growth targets easier. I mean, of course, different channels will net you different returns, but this calculation will at least show you where the absolute minimum lies. So once we've got your budget and you've decided how much you're going to attribute to that, we want to look at how you then split your budget. Where do you put your budget? So there's the 70-20-10 rule. So 70% goes on proven strategies. It's where the majority of your budget goes, and it's where you know what works well. The 20% should go on new strategies, so things that you've heard are doing well, maybe with competitors, or you've briefly worked with them in the past. And then 10% should be on new experiments, so things you've never done before. They're maybe at the cutting edge of technology, they're untested. It's that moonshot idea, but you always want to keep 10% to test on something brand new, because you never know if that will then go into your 70% of proven strategy. So you can think of this rule as an inverse to the marketing funnel. So most of your spend goes into the smaller, lower parts of the funnel. So 70% will go towards the conversion and advocacy, 20% on consideration, and 10% on awareness. So you know what you want to do, you know why you're going to do it, you know how you're going to do it, you've listed out who your competitors are, you've looked at stats, you've got plans, you've got strategies, but you want to know who to work with. And what should you look for in a marketing agency? Because there's lots out there. Look for marketing. A marketing agency has to be able to market itself. What's their structure and methods? How do you know they will do the work that they say they will do? You can look at their content. Is it clear? Is it honest? Do you understand it? Is it full of jargon? You can look at their testimonials and case studies. Look at their experience. Check out their team. Like, do they socialize? Do they get on well? Are they going to work well together? Are they relatable? Do you feel like you could work with them? Do you like them? It's a really big thing. It's like a relationship. You want to know that you can rely on them. And ultimately, you need to make sure that they have a awesome website, just like this one. Now, with our website, we really went for a Marmite approach. We wanted people to either love it or say, it's not for me. And that really helps us filter through clients that maybe we aren't right, because it's really important. It has to work both ways. You want to be able to trust and rely on your marketing agency, but we want to work with really great people that are going to get us, we get them, and we can do some really great things together. So it's really important just to have honest conversations with the marketing agency that you choose to work for. So going back to USPs, your unique selling points. A myth can be that great products sell themselves. And maybe you think that is your unique selling point. But you can have the best product in the world, and if no one knows about it, how are they going to find it? How are they going to buy it? So you know your product and service, but you need to find out what customer wants to buy them, and then you can market to them, and then you can find out the right channels. So your USPs, you want to know what a customer pain point is. So you have a product that you think answers a customer pain point, and you are offering the solution. Now, if you can do that by invoking an emotion, whether that's emphasizing the anger they feel because they don't know, they haven't been able to find this product or this answer to their problem before, or maybe it's humor or sadness, it's memorable. And if it's memorable, then it sticks in our subconscious. So I'm sure you've heard, people will forget what you said and what you did, but people will remember how you made them feel. That's so true in marketing. And if you can combine that with a message, it really helps cut through all the other marketing noise, all the other advertising that's out there. And doing these two things will really help you hit your audience, stick in their mind, and help them to convert. So some companies that have done this and started with their why is Ronseal. So Ronseal is famously known for it does exactly what it says on the tin. Now, lots of customers, lots of companies have decided to adopt that, but it doesn't always work for them, because Ronseal realised that their customers were confused about their products and they were looking for something just to get the job done in a sea of gimmicks and buzzwords. So they stripped down their messaging, they understood their why, and came up with it does exactly what it says on the tin. So there is a time and place for this in lots of companies and in lots of products. But just because it works for one company doesn't mean it will work for you, which is, again, why you go back to start with your why and your purpose and what that means for you. Another company that has started with their why is Apple. So they learned to sell pricier, less powerful computers to the same audience. How? So what they did is they led with a difference. I mean, even their tagline is "Think Different." It turned the advertising on its head. You've got Windows, who are the software, and on the advert it's got a Hewlett Packard computer. And what they do in their advert is they talk facts and stats. There's a huge wall of text saying, this is how great we are, this is why you should buy this, this is, everything we've put into it, really sell. And then on the other page, you've got Apple that say, sorry, we don't do this in beige. Every other computer comes in beige, but we don't. We're different. And it makes the customer think, oh, I don't want this in beige, actually. I want it in blue. Do they do any other colours? Actually, I want it in pink. And it just makes such a difference and really, really stands out. Now, this is actually taking advantage of cognitive bias. And it's the psychology that is a huge part in marketing. It's very interesting. There's lots and lots of different methods. And we'll go through a couple now. So cognitive biases are essentially flaws in your thinking that can lead to inaccurate conclusions. So you've heard of trust your gut, go with your instinct, and we'd all like to say that we can trust ourselves. But the harsh reality is it's essentially a pitfall of our self-delusion where we judge situations through the filters of personal experiences and preferences while being completely ignorant of the fact that we are being effective. If you like, it's like a mental shortcut. It saves us time and energy and it feels right. But the reality is it gives us confidence in our decision making, but our confidence isn't always accurate. So this is where data can help, the science behind the marketing, or the audits and the assessments and strategies that we do. But as there is no getting around it, it is a fundamental part of being human. We all do it. We may as well use it to our advantage. So first impressions really make the difference, and brands use this all the time to lodge themselves in our mind, even if you'd rather they didn't. So the super irritating Gio Compario character launched back in 2009, and he was hugely effective. Yes, he bugged everybody. In fact, he was so annoying that they actually took him off the screens, but he came back. So if you think this was launched 2009, that's 14 years ago, but he's still going today. The campaign boosted brand awareness by 450%. And the turnover was up by 53% in the first year. It's very distinct and highly memorable for the emotions that it evoked. And incidentally on this, if you find yourself with a really good slogan or a character or an advert, don't feel that you have to reinvent the wheel every year. Like having owning a character or a slogan, it can really make the difference with and help set apart your marketing messaging. So another part of cognitive bias is it's called fundamental attribution bias. So it's where you're part of something, and charities do this really well. It could be like you're part of a walk, you're growing a moustache. It makes you feel like you've made a greater contribution, and then you're more passionate about it, which helps spread word of mouth. And people like hearing from passionate people. It becomes a personal story and it's more authentic. Social proof bias. So we like things because other people do. Amazon has people also bought. Apple has shot on the iPhone. They have billboard posters of people, of real life customers that have taken wonderful pictures, just shot on their iPhone, and they've made advertising campaigns with it. They also have sent on the iPhone. So if you send emails on your phone, it will say that at the bottom. And on twitter.com, which interestingly is still twitter.com and not x.com. But if you were to see a tweet, let's say by Ryan Reynolds, and then you see at the bottom, it says from the iPhone, that could be all the influence that someone needs to go out and buy that iPhone. And TripAdvisor, I mean, their entire model is built on social proof bias. And you can even combine social proof with fundamental attribution, like Coca-Cola, with their Share a Coke campaign during lockdown. So initially they started off with names, which is great. You know, children go into gift shops and they look for those key rings and they find their name. And obviously it can be scarred for life if nobody can ever find their name. But with this, with the lockdown campaign, the result was that 1.25 million more teens tried Coke during the summer, and sales increased by 11% alone in the US. So Share a Coke in the US was more successful in driving sales than any previous marketing campaign they'd ever run. The pratfall effect. So this is changing something after a mistake or after bad press. So Domino's were getting really bad negative feedback. So you can see in the slide, microwave pizza is far superior. So they did a survey, they spoke to their customers, they listened, and they reinvented their recipe. They completely changed it. Although they rated really high, they scored really high for delivery, for convenience, for value, it was really low for taste. So they redesigned the pizza from the crust up, and they saw double digits jump up. Another cognitive bias is known as the Vemblin goods effect. So this is where people purchase higher priced goods, even though that there's very similar, lower priced, although not quite identical, substitutes available. So an example is a bottle of water. You could go to a garage, your local garage, buy one for £1.50. You go on an aeroplane and it's £2.80. Same water, same bottle. What's changed is your location or how people perceive it, and therefore they're happy to buy it. So looking at luxury items, it's the Vemblin goods effect is used hugely in this sector. And if we look at Elon Musk, he announced the Tesla Roadster 2 for sale in 2017. Orders began for 200,000, but if you paid 250,000, you'd get one of the first 1,000 Founders Series models. 6 years later, not a single one has been delivered. It's just faded away. So some tools and tips that we live by. Write down your goals, set smart objectives, start with why. Never assume, because it makes an arse out of you and me. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That is because people can be stupid. So keep it really simple. Also, if you're writing about something that's in your industry, you know your industry. What is jargon to your customers isn't jargon to you because you use it every day. So always strip things back. De-waffle your content. What's in it for me? So when you're writing content, go back and and ensure that you've written it for the customer, the end user, not for you as your business. So many companies do this. They say, we're really great at this. We're really strong at this. You should use us because of this. People don't care about what you can do. It's what you can do for them. And that is the harsh reality. So another rule is the so what rule. If you're reading it, this is part of the de-waffling. You want to ditch anything that makes you shrug. So what? Does that actually mean anything to me? Is that relevant right now? You don't want to bombard or overload with information from the get-go. There's loads of tools out there, and we've just listed a few. I won't go through them all because there is quite a lot. 12-foot ladder, though, is a really good one. It lets you bypass most paywalls. Grammarly, hugely important. Spell checker, grammar checker when you're writing content. There's loads of fantastic SEO tools. You do have to pay for them, which again is where you can use a marketing agency and they will have them for you, saving you the costs. User experience software is really important too. The world of Google, I mean, Google with such a high market share and so many free, wonderful tools, you do really want to become okay with them. Google Ads actually serves 80% of web users, so is hugely important and effective. And of course, ChatGPT. So this isn't a cure-all, but it does really help speed things up. So we have content writers, and we don't use ChatGPT to write all the content, but we do use it with templates, plans, and prompts. It can free up headspace to refine and edit, but you still need to be creative. I mean, I look at ChatGPT as an over enthusiastic graduate. They've got lots of ideas and loads of information, hugely happy to help and provide all the information, but it's not refined. It doesn't have the experience that a well-versed, knowledgeable copywriter has. So if you find yourself Googling a topic, unable to find exactly what you want, or are putting off starting a task, you can use ChatGPT as a starting point, but you want to refine it yourself because the difference does show. So in summary, do your research, understand your digital landscape and what gaps and opportunities there are. Write down your SMART goals and make sure you're having regular communication. That's internally with your team, externally with customers, and very importantly with your marketing agency. Use the 80-20 rule to tune every step in your user experience, your customer journey, and then the 70-20-10 rule. Unlock multiplicative growth instead of just additive. Set a budget that helps you grow and not hinders it. And again, you've got the 70-20-10 rule for that. Outsource to an agency that you love and will make you raw. Use tools to empower your team. Build a USP, your unique selling point that sets you apart and answers the why. Tell your story and make sure it is authentic to you. Always focus on brand awareness because you always want to keep topping up that sales funnel. And finally, if you take nothing else away with you today, start collecting email addresses. Thank you.
Thanks, Louise. That was there was so much. There was so much there. I feel like we've gone for hours there with the amount of ground that you've covered. But we've still got time left for a Q&A. So thank you so much for running through that. Like it's so good to hear that from your perspective on what you see in the marketing landscape. So it's and debunking some myths and helping set people up for next year, because we can never know enough about the marketing landscape. I think there's a lot to know. So thank you so much for going over all of that. There's lots to take away. Certainly got some things to look at myself, so thank you. We've got some time for questions now, guys, so anyone that does have any questions for Louise that you would like to ask, we do have some time now left over at the end here, and pop those in VVox, because I'm sure there's probably some burning questions out there. We've already had a few through, so we can get straight into those, but thank you again for going through that, Louise. So if you're ready, we'll go through a couple of questions at the end that we've already collected here, and hopefully a few more come through. the first one we got was, how do I stop myself from disappearing down the social media rabbit hole and not spend all my time online marketing instead of actually creating content?
Sorry, Luca, can you say that again?
Yeah, of course I can. How do I stop myself from disappearing down the social media rabbit hole and not spend all of my time online marketing? Instead, I think them in actually creating some content.
Okay, so it comes down to planning. Again, the 70-10, the 70-20-10 rule will really help. It's looking at everything as an overall picture and saying, where am I getting my customers from? I mean, social media, it does take a lot of time and effort to do. You want to, to do it properly. There's reels, there's interactive posts, there's competitions. You want to be sociable as well. You want to like, share, interact. I mean, it is a whole job in itself. So you want to know where you're getting your sales from, and then apply your 70-20-10 rule to that. Because if you're getting the majority are, if they're coming through to your website, you want to make sure that your website is at optimal levels. You can have a look at your Google Analytics and see what channels people are coming from. Are they coming from social media? Maybe if they're coming from Facebook or LinkedIn, then great, invest more time in that. But if they're coming from PPC ads or your email, then they're the areas that you want to invest in. And I would just set a time limit on it. You can block out times and say, right, I'm only going to spend X amount of time a day on that or a week on that, so that you make sure you have time for the other relevant marketing channels.
Spot on. That makes a lot of sense. And I think there's, just going back to saying that there's so much to know out there, then it's really figuring out what works well for you and your business, right? And maybe a bit of trial and error at the beginning stages as well to figure out those channels. So there's a lot. You can spend a lot of time going over all of these. So it makes sense to figure out what works best. So next question. Thanks for that answer. Where do I start with keyword research? I'm guessing this is something new to some of our audience today, who are maybe embarking on their marketing journey. So is there any tips around where you can start with that?
Yeah, so keyword research. So the point of keyword research, you want to know what people are searching for online. So you want to be able, because SEO, search engine optimization, is all about providing the most relevant, useful answers to what the customer is searching for. So you like Google is very helpful. There's keyword planners. You want to start off with what you think you know. So what do your customers ask you for? Do you have X? How can I find this? And if you go in, like we have software for this, SEM Rush is a great software, but again, it's a paid for tool. It's quite expensive. So we do a lot of our work on this software, but there are lots of free planners, and it will tell you how many times on average somebody is searching for a key term or phrase. But you don't only want to look at how many times it's being searched for. So if we go back to my example, new builds had a huge search volume on average per month. It was, maybe 100,000. New builds only had 30,000, but it was more specific and relevant, and it had a lower keyword density, and lower competition. So there were less people competing for that keyword, because if you're going to do pay-per-click Google Ads, then the keyword research is closely linked to how much you're going to pay for that keyword. So that's why you want to look at various key phrases and where they would appear in the customer journey, in your sales funnel, as to what you're going to advertise for, when and why.
Very good. That's clear up. It's certainly cleared up for me. So thank you so much for that. Our next question was, how long does the planning stage typically take? Want to deliver an above the line marketing program within 9 months? When should I start?
It really depends on what you want to do and how you achieve it. There's no one set answer for everybody. I mean, we've worked with global security company, and we did a 20-year strategy for them, and it took 3 months with I think we did 10 to 12 days a month for them, but they were huge. They were so big, and how in depth you're going to do. So we did competitor audits. We looked at their online landscape. We looked at, we did strategies for everything. We did content strategies, email strategies. So it's just going back to your SMART objectives. You want something, if that's your time limit, then you change your objective so it's achievable and it's realistic in that time frame. So it may be that you just start with a smaller plan, and you look at your sales funnel, you look at the small improvements that you can make that is going to have a big positive impact, and you start with that. You do that, and then 9 months later you revisit it and work on other things.
Right, good advice. It makes sense. So the next question we had was quite an interesting one, actually. Someone's taken away that 70-20-10 rule that you have explained to everybody. They said, how can you relate that rule to your business when your business is providing the content and copywriting for other businesses? Is there any tips around that, I guess, maybe?
Yeah, so I mean, well, that's what we do. We write
exactly
for other businesses. So I think that would be more, it's not so much then in the work that you're providing, it's how you're then marketing yourself. So if you're doing that for other people, it may be that the results that you get from your copywriting, if you get featured snippets online, they're the holy grail for content being published online. You will showcase that to people, and your customer testimonials are the 70s. The 20 could be you try something new. Maybe you send out and it works reasonably well, but it's fairly new to you. So you might be sending out emails to people on a regular basis, but maybe you include a case study onto emails, and then 10% is something completely new. So any wild, wacky ideas that you do to promote your service.
Just on that, when you've this is just me thinking now, based on that question, but with that 10%, and you're saying that there's they're for the new ideas and new wacky ideas, is there an assessment that you sort of doing? If something, is it that you wait and see if that particularly works well, and you would incorporate that back into the 70 or the 20?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to analyze what you did. So you always, wherever possible, you want to measure it and track it, and you assess it. You see what the results are, and then from that gives you the decision of whether you're going to do it again, or if it hasn't worked.
Good stuff. So next one's quite a specific one. How do you grow Facebook followers? Is there any advice you can give around that at all?
So Facebook is a business, and you have to pay them, essentially. You have to again, it's not, so a lot of people get very hung up on having the amount of followers. It is a vanity metric. What you want to do, rather than starting off saying, I want to have 25,000 followers on Facebook, you want to start with your why. Because if you tell your story and your purpose, then people are going to relate to you. If you're sharing interesting, relevant, relatable content, people will like and follow you, because it's going to be of interest to them. It's going to be different to what your competitors are doing. One thing never ever to do is buy followers. That's definitely not the way forward.
That makes sense. Yeah, it sounds like some sensible advice there. So last question, because I'm conscious that we just ran out of time. So this one's quite a good one, actually, because it could probably speak for a lot of those sort of startup businesses that we've got out there, or one-man band. So I'm a musician and a DJ, self-employed, and do everything myself. Can you recommend a sort of basic marketing strategy which I could implement myself?
It's tricky. It is. I mean, there's so many businesses like you that do this, and you have to wear multiple hats, and it's tiring and exhausting. What we actually offer is workshops for smaller businesses that don't have very big budgets.
Amazing.
And we do a brief overview of keyword research. We go through ideas of what you want to do, because as I said, there isn't a one size fits all. It really depends, like who your target market is, who your audience is, what you want to do, what you want to shout about, the channels that you use. So yeah, I mean, to answer that, I suppose for you, for a DJ, you know, YouTube channel, putting out, you know, really, as I said, I think in the presentation, it's starting with your why. What is your purpose? And looking at your messaging, talking to people, say, you know, what do you like about me? What do you think sets me apart? You know, showcasing that, making sure you've got unique content, that you're writing about yourself, that you're advertising where you're going to be. How can people find you? Eventbrite is really great as well if you want to showcase like gigs that you're going to do. Ask friends and family to share as well your content.
No, that's some really good advice. I think there's a good segue into sort of, you know, there's lots of support out there. You know, like you say, you do workshops for smaller businesses. Eagle Labs are one organisation out of many that are here to support businesses on their growth journey entirely. So there's lots and lots of support out there, and I think once you start tapping into that, you can start to connect dots and start to figure out a bit more about what those next steps should be. So thank you so much, and thanks for all your questions there. We're gonna call it there for questions, because I'm conscious we're close to time. Louise has got a business that she's running, and so have you all. So we don't want to take up too much time today. So no, look, thank you very much for that, Louise. It was exceptional, and given us lots and lots of takeaways moving into next year. So thank you very much for that. Is there any way people can get in contact with you, or is there any way they can speak to you further if they want to continue this journey?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you go online, just type in Tiger Marketing onto Google. We're in Worthing. You'll see our website. You've seen the branding throughout the presentation, so you'll see us.
And on your walls, the feed through to the office.
Our SEO is great. So yeah, Tiger Marketing will come up first.
Fantastic.
And then yeah, please just send me an email, get in contact. If anyone wants any help with workshops or consultation, or, you know, we've got a great team. They're all highly experienced individuals that, yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you. And yeah, from a sports side as well, I guess Eagle Labs are here. So if you're new to Eagle Labs, please check out labs.uk.barclays and find out more. And there is lots of support there available for businesses to grow. So look, Louise, thank you very much for your time. That was excellent. I'll stop saying thank you, because we've said it loads of times now, but that was really good. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Bye.